So you have all your notes?
Yeah, of course.
All your notes.
Always.
You have... That's too many notes.
Too many.
That's way too many.
Welcome
to my channel again. Thank you for being back. If this is your first time, I'm sorry. With me today, I have my friend David Durley, right? Darley. Gnarly. David, go ahead and introduce yourself for me, buddy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hanging out with this cool guy here. Like I said, my name's David. I also have a YouTube channel. He's going to link in the description below. Very, very different from this. Talks a whole lot about fitness and stuff like that. Any type of bodybuilding, CrossFit, running, things like that. We pretty much cover over in my channel. So if you want to check us out, especially during this quarantine, we do a whole lot of home workouts, things like that, just still keep us going. So it's definitely probably not the fan base this guy's reaching right here. But if you guys got any questions about that, you guys can email me at this link right here. You can check that out as well too. But yeah, guys, I'm excited to hang with you guys today. I'm going to be talking about one of my all-time childhood favorite movies ever.
I think it's funny how he thinks I have a fan base. Joke's on him. I force everybody to subscribe. As I said, we're going to talk about Star Wars. So what we're actually going to do here is something a little bit different than just talk about the series. What we're going to do is we're going to take a trilogy. And we're going to take one movie from said trilogy and change it to our liking. Now, that movie, our changes cannot affect the other two movies of that trilogy. The other two must remain the same. But the one we change has to be of our own concise. Now, we can change the title if we want, but that's the only movie we can change. So, obviously, David's going to go first, and that's how we'll do it. And then we're going to rank our movies 1 to 9 of our preference, which one we like the best, which one we think is the worst, basically.
What about Solo and Rogue One?
Crap. 1 to 11. So David's going to go first, obviously. Ladies first. And
I'm honored.
He's going to...
How dare you assume my gender, though?
It's 2020. I can assume whatever I want. Be offended if you want. I don't care. So he's going to go first. And David, what movie are you going to change from what trilogy?
I am going to be hitting on the Disney trilogy, so episodes 7, 8 through 9, and I'm going to be fixing the movie that the wretched Sith Lord and Kathleen Kennedy destroyed, episode 8, The Last Jedi. Who, contrary to popular belief, this guy here actually thinks it's pretty good.
I've stated many times in past videos that I enjoyed The Last Jedi, so...
Man, you're in a small portion there. Do want to go on a preface here. I'm one of those weird guys. I actually do find something good in all the Star Wars movies. There's no particular one I hate. I actually do like this movie a little bit to some degree. There are some fun things in it, but I definitely think it could have been a much better movie. And we're going to talk about that. So, obviously, I think the main thing that The Last Jedi suffers from is actually two things. One, it does not carry over well from The Force Awakens. We build up all these fantastic things in The Force Awakens. Who are Rey's parents? Who is Snoke? What happened to Kylo Ren? Why did he turn? Why is Luke on this island? We build all this up, and then it all just gets thrown out the window. When Luke throws that lightsaber over his shoulder, that's literally a course for how this movie's going to go. And basically, we're going to talk about that, maybe some things we could have done differently, and how to make this movie better. But the challenging part is, everything that I do in this movie, it cannot rewrite something that happens in The Rise of Skywalker. So if you notice, basically the whole Rise of Skywalker is just trying to fix everything that's wrong with The Last Jedi. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to set up The Rise of Skywalker in a better way to where it is a good, whole, and complete trilogy. But to start off with this, I'm not going to start off with some space battle where Poe kills half his fleet. We're going to start off with they're still back at that planet at the end of Force Awakens, and we see Finn is in a Bacta tank. So if we remember, and just a little bit of nerdology here for y'all, that lightsaber went up the back of Finn's back. And when it did, it actually cut his spinal cord in half. And so we're going to see him waking up in a Bacta tank. And the doctor's looking at him, and they're basically saying it doesn't look good. He needs some medical attention that we can't provide him here. And Poe goes to Leia and say, hey, what can we do? Can we force heal him? And she goes, no, but I do know a place where we can take him. We can take him to Kamino. A little bit of a throwback to the prequel trilogy and the Clone Wars as well too. Kamino is where they made all the clones at. They have a lot of high-tech medical equipment. They can help this guy off. Then we're going to pan away to Luke and Rey on Octo 2. And Luke's going to take the lightsaber. He's going to look at it. He's going to be like, I never thought I would see this again. And he's going to look back at her and goes, who are you? And she's going to go, I'm Rey. Your sister sent me. But I do have to tell you something tragic. And he's going to go, yeah, I know. Han's not here. And she goes, how do you know? She's like, I felt it through the Force. Because obviously if Leia felt it through the Force, he's going to feel it through the Force as well too. She's going to look at him while he's holding the lightsaber, and then she's going to notice his robotic hand. And she's going to know what happened to your hand. And he's going to look at her and say, I'd have more than one thing in common with my dad, just besides his lightsaber. Little funny comedic banter, but what we're really going to go for here is that Luke is not a hopeless soul in this movie. He's optimistic. He's believing that that good things can happen, and he's going to immediately agree to start training Rey. There's not going to be any mention of fuel or ships being lighter or faster than other ships, because that's obviously just lazy writing there is what it suffered from. There's going to be some real plot here. So we're going to pan away from that, and then we're going to go pan to Kylo Ren at that point. Kylo Ren's going to be in some type of chamber like Anakin / Darth Vader was at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and he's going to be getting worked on, get that scar taken care of, and we're going to make it look way cooler than it actually did, because I think if a lightsaber went up the side of your face, one, you should be dead, but two, it would be a whole lot more cooler than just some line. So he's going to get that fixed, and then we're going to see him start rebuilding his lightsaber. So just a little bit more of insight: whenever someone makes a lightsaber, especially a Sith Lord, they actually have to take the kyber crystal and they have to make it bleed. So we're going to see him pour all of his hate into that lightsaber. His hate from everything Luke did to him, what his dad did to him, what his mom did to him, his desire to be like Vader, what Snoke did to him. He's going to pour all this hate into it and make a new crossguard red lightsaber. Then we'll see Snoke come into the picture in person. He's going to insult him kind of the same way he did at the end of Last Jedi. Like, you got beat by a girl that never held a lightsaber before, and he's going to be like, you have to redeem yourself. And he's going to look at him and say, how do I redeem myself? And it'll be like, you capture and kill your mother and your uncle and bring Rey to the dark side. You've redeemed yourself. Then we will pan back to Leia and Poe with Finn. At this point, we're going to introduce Holdo and Rose in some way. We got to do that because we do see them make a mention to Holdo in the Rise of Skywalker, and obviously Rey is in the Rise of Skywalker as well too. So they're going to start talking. They're like, we got to get to Kamino, and there's one person on Kamino who can help us, and that is Maz Kanata. We are not going to waste her character. So they're going to call up Maz and be like, hey, what do we got to do? Where do we need to go? And they'll be like, this is how you get here, yada yada. Well, they try to pull up the coordinates, and they can't, because the First Order, whenever they took over, they did a lot of crazy stuff, and they screwed up the coordinates and the maps on how to get there, and they have no idea how to get to Kamino now. So Leia goes, I know someone who can help us. Leia walks into a room by herself, and she turns on a comm link, and on that comm link is the one and only Ahsoka Tano. And for those of you who don't know, Ahsoka Tano is a Clone Wars and Rebels character. She's also going to be in this next season of The Mandalorian. This was Anakin Skywalker's apprentice during the Clone Wars, and she's going to call Ahsoka, and she'll be like, Ahsoka, it's so good to hear from you. I know you always told me to only use this number in case of an emergency, but I need your help with something. She'll be like, what do you need help with? And she'll be like, I need to get to Kamino. You fought there during the Clone Wars. How do I get here? And she's going to send her the coordinates. She'll say thank you, but she'll say, I'm not going to leave here leaving you empty-handed. And she's going to go, do you have a clue for me about Ezra? If any of y'all know, at the end of Rebels, Ezra disappeared, and they still don't know where he's at. And she's going to look at him, and she says, yes, I do have a clue for you. And she's going to give Ahsoka the map to Luke Skywalker. She said, if this helped me find my brother, it'll help you find Ezra. She'll say, thank you. And then Ahsoka will look at Leia one last time and say, Anakin would have been proud of you. And then Leia will look back at her and say, Rex and Obi-Wan would have been proud of you. After that, we are going to pan back to Ahch-To, and we're going to see a lot of training going on between Luke and Rey. But what's significant is through the lightsaber training, the Force training, we do not see Luke use his green lightsaber at all. And we're going to come back to that in a little bit. But once they get into it, they're going to start joking around a little bit, make a joke about him kissing his sister, some fun stories about Han, just a lot of reliving some really cool tales. He'll tell about what he did in this 30-year gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, just fill in some stuff that we don't know a lot about. Then we're going to see our other heroes arriving on Kamino. Maz starts doing some stuff to help heal him because she does have some force ability and some technology. And while she's there, though, and while they're working on Finn, he's still in a coma of some sort, she looks at Poe and Leia and says, hey, I've got something I need to show you. So she takes them into another room and says, all this time through all these battles, we've had no clue who Snoke is. We have no backstory on him, nothing like that. And she said, I found his file deep within the old Kamino records, something like that. I haven't looked at it yet. I want to look at it with you. So they open it up and they start looking at it and they realize there's nothing in this file. No backstory, no nothing. Maybe we can make a joke about him not being Darth Plagueis, something like that. But they realize there's nothing in this file about him that points to him. And so we're still wondering who he is. That's going to be a tie-in to, obviously, The Rise of Skywalker, when we just find out that Sidious made him. So even though there's still no backstory here, we tie up this loose end that doesn't have to automatically be fixed in Rise of Skywalker. After they find out there's no backstory at this point, the alarm starts sounding and Kamino is under attack. The First Order has found them the same way they did in The Last Jedi, and Captain Phasma and her men are leading the charge against them. So they radio for Leia for help, and whenever they radio for her, they see Snoke's face appear on the comlink, and they see him and Kylo Ren have Leia and all the generals, and all these people are being held captive. On this comlink call, you see maybe some banter, some trash talking between Poe and him, and you see him kill Admiral Akbar at this point. He doesn't go off in just some ship explosion. He dies at the hand of Kylo Ren to truly show how much more evil he is. So Poe starts to fight his way through with the help of Rose and Maz Kanata, and they get back on the ship and they take off. But the ship is damaged in some way and they can't go back to the base. They know they have to go to the next closest planet, and a planet that's close by is Ahch-To, where they are at. So they crash land on Ahch-To. Luke and Rey run out over there. They explain to Luke what's going on, like, hey man, we need your help, we gotta do this. And Luke is just dead silent. He has nothing to say. And he looks up at them and he says, I vowed that I would never pick up my lightsaber or face Kylo Ren. They go, why? And he then tells the story of how he failed Ben, how he sensed his dark thoughts, kind of the same way he did in Last Jedi. You see his sorrow, his grief come over him. He blames himself for Han's death. He blames himself for the destruction of his Jedi temple. And he said that the will of the Force brought him here so he could find a way to fix himself. And he agreed to train Rey just so that she could right his wrongs. But he, after some talking and some mentorship and some good funny quotes or something like that from Rey and Poe and all them, they agree to take him back and help train him, or not necessarily train him, but like get him into a place where he can help them take down Snoke and Kylo Ren. But before he does, he says, I need to grab something. And that kind of hints at he's going to grab his green lightsaber. So they show up on that ship, very similar to that throne room scene. They walk in there, you see the lightsaber on Luke's hip, and he is going in there with Rey. You see instantly Rey gets cast aside by Snoke or Kylo, whichever one you want, and he's there laying on his knees before Luke, and Snoke looks at him and says, Kylo, prove your dominance over him, prove your power, strike down your uncle right now, and take your rightful place as the most strongest Skywalker. So he goes to strike down Luke without any hesitation, and his lightsaber passes clean through him. And what do you know? Luke is using the Force projection ability again, and then we see Luke kind of jump out of nowhere from somewhere, maybe like he's hiding, or he was on the other side of the wall, or he crashes his X-Wing through the... well, he can't crash his X-Wing, maybe another ship or something like that, into the room, and he comes out, ignites his lightsaber, Rey gets up, Leia gets up, and this massive battle between all of them ensues. It then eventually is going to lead into a Force battle between Luke and Snoke, but while this Force battle is going on, we're going to see this fight between Rey and Kylo. And during this battle, we see them both kind of having flashes with the light side and the dark side, but specifically a lot of dark side tendencies with Rey. And during this, you just see her and Kylo both go full Force rage. And in this Force rage, we see the vision that Rey hinted at in The Rise of Skywalker, and she sees herself on the throne with Kylo Ren. And during this whole Force rage, it starts causing the throne room to cave in around everyone, and so a lot of destruction's happening. Rey passes out, Kylo passes out, and Luke and Snoke both have to use their Force together to hold the throne room together. During this time, Leia wakes back up, and she looks at Luke, and Luke says, Leia, take Rey, finish her training, make her become a Jedi, let her right our wrongs. And she says, I'll do that. She picks her up, but one last time, Luke looks at her and goes, Leia, do not tell her. And obviously that's a wink at, they knew that she was a Palpatine, and she takes off and goes, I won't tell him. And then one last time, Luke at her and says, Leia, remember the Force will be with you. And then at the same time, they say, always. So they run away. The destruction of the throne room's happening. Maybe there's some banter between Snoke and Luke, and then Kylo wakes up. And when Kylo wakes up, Snoke looks at him and says, Apprentice, strike down Luke once and for all. Prove your loyalty to me. Let us reign together over this galaxy as master and apprentice. Kylo looks at him and says, there's always been two, no more, no less. One to embody the power, one to crave it. And at that point, we'll see Kylo strike down Snoke at that point. But during this whole time, you see Snoke screaming and hollering, and then he just dies. Then he looks at Luke and he says, it's the grandson of Vader against the son of Vader. And maybe some banter right there. And very similar to the end at Last Jedi when him and Kylo were talking. And he says, I'm about to kill the Last Jedi. And he says, you're wrong. I will not be the Last Jedi. And then at that point, explosion happens, and you're wondering, oh no, is Kylo alive? Is Luke dead? Then we pan back to the Battle of Crate. We still got to have the Battle of Crate because Poe mentions it in that planet they go to that Kylo blows up. That we sent out a distress call at the Battle of Crate, and no one showed up. So they're going to go there at this Battle of Crate. He's going to send out that distress call. There's going to be a space battle overhead that Poe's leading. We get to see his power, and then we get into that. And then, like I said, we introduced Holdo earlier. We'll have Holdo pull her maneuver. What I'm thinking here happens is a Star Destroyer comes in, is just going to destroy the base, but before she can, Holdo light speeds a cruiser into that thing, destroying it. But at the very end, we see a shuttle land, and we see Phasma come out. We're gonna have a little bit of a battle between Phasma and Finn as well too, very similar to the way that we did in The Last Jedi. Then at the end there, we will see Kylo come out. And he's going to have either some last battle between him and Leia, but ultimately the rebels do escape. What few of them are left, and they take off. And they both look at each other and they go, yeah, Luke's gone, but they could tell it was peaceful, it was good, and that he redeemed himself. Then the screen is going to go black. And when it goes black, instead of seeing some kids at the end that we know nothing about, we're going to hear the voice of Darth Sidious himself, Palpatine, go, Snoke, I knew you would fail me. Now it is time to finish what Vader started in the movie. So that's what I got.
All right, I'd watch that. I would watch that. I would. I really still enjoy Last Jedi, but I really did enjoy your take on that, and that was good.
Voila.
Now it's my turn.
What movie will you be rewriting?
I will be rewriting Rise of Skywalker, actually,
right.
from the Disney trilogy. So first and foremost, for mine, I'm going to change the title. Bear with me here. Are you keeping The Last Jedi for your title?
Yeah, we're keeping The Last Jedi.
I like it. The Last Jedi really works. I like it. Star Wars, Rise of the Fallen Knights.
Okay.
Bear with me.
Rise of the Fallen Knights, okay.
Yeah. It has double entendre, much like all the previous titles whatsoever. Like, none of the titles are straightforward in this series. But this is going to work really well.
All right.
Watch this. Okay, so we are left off with Last Jedi with those kids. We need to bring those kids back one way or another. Okay, I'm not entirely sure how, but we can definitely use them, especially on a battle that comes on later on. They can totally be useful, because obviously they know what they're doing. Rey is on missions with Poe. Poe is now a general, Leia appointed, and they are on missions trying to actually find Ben.
Okay.
They're looking for Kylo purposely, because Rey still thinks she can save him after everything he's done. She's still firm on that. I'm not gonna go to like the whole film here, but I'm gonna touch the main points here. We're gonna get rid of a lot of these battles in this film. Like a lot of the planet visits. The smuggling planet visit where they wipe C-3PO's memory, wipe it. Unnecessary. Now when she's in the chamber talking to Kylo, we can keep that. That is actually really good. That battle is actually entertaining. When they're on their ship, that's fine.
That, yeah.
There are a lot of scenes, there are a lot of like when they visit that planet with the festival and they bump into Lando, when they bump into him, that is completely pointless and the worst way to bump into Lando. Currently, Leia is looking for Lando. She is looking for her old friend for the battle, and she bumps into him, and he's like so happy to see her. You know, he's like, Leia, kind of like cool Billy Dean kind of style, whatnot. And he's like, yeah, I'll help you. I mean, why not? I'm already doing nothing because I'm super cool and I got my awesome cape because Donald Glover played me in an earlier film, so obviously. So yeah, I'm going to come help you.
This is America.
And then what's going to happen is there's going to be a transmission that they submit to space, and then it's going to be actually tracked by the First Order. They're going by that?
Yes.
They're going by the First
Final Order, First Order, whichever
The
one.
Order.
Yes.
And they get that transmission, they intercept it, and they track it back to the Rebels' base, where they go then and they attack the base, which is where Leia meets her son once again. And Rey learns about this, and she light speeds back on the Falcon with Poe and Finn to go help them, go save basically Leia. She's a primary goal to protect. Meanwhile, Rey is also having conversations with Luke. Yeah, Luke is actually coming to her Obi-Wan style. He's like, I'm still gonna help you. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna win this. We're gonna save Ben. Luke actually also believes they can save Ben.
Okay.
After his redemption, after his final battle on the Last Jedi on the planet, seeing the way he reacted to him, he now thinks, you know what, I can fix this. He's still resentful. He still hates himself for what he did. He's not all peppy all of a sudden like he was in the movie, like how he was back in the day, in the glory days. No, he still feels that hate towards himself for what he did, but he wants to fix it.
Yep.
He wants to see the optimism of it. So he's talking to her, but when they arrive on the planet, they find Ben is fighting Leia in an awesome lightsaber and Force battle.
What color is Leia's lightsaber?
Leia's lightsaber is obviously going to be blue.
Okay.
Yes, that sounds right.
All right.
And obviously, Ben is red. They're going ham at each other. They're going like two fools on a something. I don't know. But the point is, they're going ham, and it is epic. It is amazing. It is one of the best choreographed battles since Episode 3, since Episode 1. Those are only the films, honestly, that have the best battles.
That's true.
That we can remember.
Darth Maul and Anakin
Skywalker and Obi-Wan. Yeah, those scenes were amazing. This is gonna be one of those moments. So, when Rey comes around, Leia has the upper hand on Ben. She's like, I can totally take you out, son. Like, I have the power. By into this world, I can take you out.
We're gonna show how powerful Leia is.
Exactly. We want to see, because so far we've seen her basically be a Padme. Mm-hmm. She has not done anything special to make her actually be the strongest Skywalker so far, which they're saying she is. Well, prove it then. Let us see her go against her son, who was trained basically by someone. I don't even remember who he was trained by.
Snoke, Luke.
Who cares who it was? But everybody's trained by one way or another by a Sith Lord. So let's see her be trained by who she trained. She trained with Luke.
Yeah.
Let's see her actually take on her son, who is trained by the dark ways of the Force. So let's see this battle take place. And as she has the upper hand on Ben, you know who pops up? Rey. Rey pops up. And she looks at Rey, and she looks at her and just winks. Obi-Wan style from Episode 4. And then Ben, noticing she stopped for a second, takes the upper hand and just slices her down. And she goes ghost mode and the clothes fall. And that's that. And then he looks at Rey, and all of a sudden, he feels this remorse. All of a sudden, everything, all this pain he's felt, Luke betraying him killing his father, him dealing with his grandfather's like expectations, basically, all that comes back to him, and that's when Rey charges at him. Mm-hmm. Basically, Force pushes him back, and then pulls him forward, and he stops her. Basically, like pulls his lightsaber around, like swings at her, and she falls back, and then they fight it out. They duke it out. Now, where this scene takes place is the trouble. Because I really want it to take place on the water scene. With really choreographed battle in that water, like in the movie, like in the current movie, looks great. Get rid of the point they were there for. Get rid of the stupid triangle pyramid GPS thing. Get rid of it. But we could still have the battle there in the water. Because it was cool. Choreograph it better. And we have an amazing fight scene. So I definitely want to see that.
That's definitely one of the things that the Disney trilogy suffers from, is there's not a good choreographed lightsaber.
There is not. And then the thing with that is that it's also giving us what we want, but also gonna remove it right away, because many things in the current movie that happen are just redundant. Chewie dies. No, he's alive.
Yeah.
Keep him dead. Why not? Go for it, dude. You got nothing to lose.
We've already killed off everybody else.
Kill him, dude. I don't care. And then they realize, Ben basically whispers something to Rey, and he's like, "You will fall, and you will be forgotten through the memory of the Jedi. You are basically nothing. The Sith will rise again." Something like that, basically. Mm-hmm. And their battle ends, and he disappears. And I'm still trying to figure out a way how they get to, not Exegol, the current actual place where the Sith Lords are. What's it called?
It's Exegol in the Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
In Legends, and what Disney should have done, they should have called it Korriban, because that's the original home of the Sith.
Then we'll go with Korriban. Well, they go to Korriban because he whispers something, and it makes her feel something. And then Luke tells her, it's like, this is actually the ancient ways of the Sith, basically. This is where they originate. And she's like, obviously she's there. And then while she's sleeping that night, struggling with the thought, she just saw Leia sliced down by her own son. Mm-hmm. She has visions of her compelling to the dark. Because she's still fighting this urge. She is still fighting the urge to actually go with Ben to the dark side. Because the Force right now is at a tipping point. It can either fall... unbalanced. It can either fall to light or fall to the dark, and it is at a point where it can go either way, and I'd be fine with that. I can see her going dark, Rey. I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool.
But what we need to see in the end, quick note, is her become a Grey Knight.
Qui-Gon Jinn style?
Yes, we need to see that. We have Jedi, we have Sith. We need something in the middle finally, because that is just a wasted opportunity. No one has dared taken up. We need to see it, so that's important. So, and the point is this. They go to Cambodia.
Canto Bight.
Is that... Exegol?
No. Are we going to Exegol or
Exegol.
We're going. Okay, so we're going to Korriban.
Corona. So we're going to Corona, and there she finds Emperor Palpatine clone, and he tells her, he explains to her how he survived by emitting his force from Episode 6, where he knew he could sense Vader coming back to light because of his son's presence, so he had to have a contingency plan. So he emitted himself to a clone across the galaxy, basically using the Force, which is possible apparently, because the Force can literally do anything. It's basically the vibranium of Star Wars. So what happens then is that they're there, and they're like, oh, okay, great, let's take them on. And then Kylo's like, I brought you this peasant. I brought you the girl. Let's kill her. And Emperor's like, no, she is actually the Empress-to-be. You are the toy. I'm using you. The tool, basically. And he's like, excuse me? Offended girl style, you know? Like in Gossip Girl, like, excuse me? And he's like, you are nothing but a Skywalker to be eliminated. Let's finally end the lineage of the Skywalkers. And he's like, no. So he draws his lightsaber, and basically Emperor just tosses him against the wall using the Force, like, alright, calm down, brats.
Yeah.
And then Rey's ready to fight him. And then the rebellion shows up on Corona.
Korriban.
Color van. And they show up, and he has a fleet. He does have the fleet. Emperor Palpatine has a fleet. Now, it's not as extensive as the one in the movie. That was ridiculous. How can he have that many in that time frame?
How would you build 1,600 ships?
That was stupid. That was basically the whole planet. I hated that. 8 is enough. 8 is a logical sense. That is a good amount of ships.
8 Death Stars is basically what it is.
That's enough to destroy the entire galaxy. Rule it forever. So, by then, they realize They realize the plan here, and she manages to relay a message, basically. They use the Force to admit to Finn, who is Force sensitive, who hears her message, and he's like, what's going on? What is this? I've only dealt with the Force like a little bit like these kids, but I hear your message, Rey. And she tells them the best way to end this fleet is, what's it called, a kyber crystal?
What, how you make a lightsaber?
Yes.
A
kyber crystal. See, the kyber crystal, with the right emission, radioaction, whatever you want to use for it, using it in the proper sense, it can be emitted as like an electromagnetic pulse, like an EMP kind of style, like an emission of power to destroy electricity, to destroy an entire fleet, strong enough. There's only one ship fast enough to reach the middle of that fleet to evenly distribute that energy. 12 parsecs. Millennium Falcon. We need the Millennium Falcon to go out in a big shebang. Because let's face it, it's had its run, it's had its course, it needs to go out and stop. And who's piloting the Millennium Falcon? Let me tell you who's piloting the Millennium Falcon. I'm going to tell you who's piloting the Millennium Falcon. Here's who's piloting the Millennium Falcon.
Tell me who it is.
Billy Dean Williams.
Of course.
Lando himself with C-3PO.
6 million forms of communication.
Basically. So they're on there, and while they're going at light speed to the location, the kyber crystals melting away, the Millennium Falcon's melting as it's going. It's an intense emotional moment, and as it lands perfectly in the center of all those battleships, it explodes, creating the emission, and all those ships go down on the planet like a bunch of suckers, like a bunch of kids who's sugar crashing. They go down like fools. Now that is a way to go out. That is OP. Now, why kill off Lando, you ask? You killed off everybody. Let's end it. Let's finish it. Kill them all. I don't care. It's gonna be epic. Alright, let's finish this. And then
game style.
Exactly. God, you get me. So then Rey's gonna be there trying to fight the Emperor. Then the Knights of Ren show up. And then Kylo's like, you know what? Let's fight these fools. And then they fight Kylo and Rey back to back, basically. They injure Kylo, they're hitting it down, and she manages to basically kill all of the Knights, because she's stronger. Mm-hmm. She's far superior to both of them. To all of them, not just both. I mean, like all the Knights and Kylo. She takes them all out. And then,
such a wuss.
Kylo is such a wuss. What a brat. And then Emperor's like, I see your fleet. Check this out. Shoo-bang! Electricity powers, lightning, bedazzle, and it goes crazy. It goes ham. I like that scene. I like that moment. The scene isn't really well done in the movie, but that moment is one of the best moments in that new trilogy. So what happens next? You asked, thanks for asking. I'm going to tell you. Here's exactly what happens next. She tries to fight him, obviously, but he like throws lightning at her. At Rey, he's like, you know what? You are not what I expected. I'm going to kill you and take whatever life force you have. So he emits it at her, and she has her lightsaber, and just as it's about to hit her, she winces just a little bit. You know, she's like, I can take this, obviously. but it stops right in front of her, light shining bright with the power of diamonds, the lightning of the sun right in front of her face. Why didn't it hit her, you ask? Let me tell you why, because this is what we all wanted this. All the Jedi ghosts are there.
That's good.
All the Jedis are there, stopping the lightning electricity, and they all look at Rey and said, "You're not alone. We're with you." And then like they hand off basically the lightning to her, and she like holds it, kind of like, "Oh, cool. I got this."
Dragon Ball Z style.
Basically. And then she emits it back at the Emperor. And it takes him a foot. And he's like, "How'd you do that?" She's like, "I'm all the Sith." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm all the Jedi." And just zaps her again, but she uses the lightsaber this time to stop it. And then he's like a little stronger, so it's like taking her down. She's like falling on one knee. It's really strong mission. He's still very much powerful, way more powerful than her. And then as he's about to take her out, Kylo pops up behind him and impales him with the lightsaber. And he yells. The Emperor yells in pain. And he's like, "Boy," and he starts chuckling. "Did you really think that could take me out right now? As I am literally the embodiment of immortality?" So he grabs Kylo with the Force and is basically about to kill him. Snap his neck, Thanos to Loki style. And Rey's like, "No, that can't happen." So she basically throws that lightning back with the lightsaber back to the Emperor. And he falls back, dropping Kylo. Kylo's basically like barely breathing. Because he's like super injured because the Knights basically took him out like a wuss. Because he's like an emotional little brat now. And as Rey is now about to fight the Emperor, he hears the voices of his parents, Han and Leia. And he can basically see them. Now he can see Leia. Han is a little more distorted because he's not a Jedi. But Leia can bring his essence back. Because Ghost Jedi.
Can do it.
Why not? Basically, right?
It's the Force. It's magic.
It's magic. Don't you know? So there, he's like,
do know.
"I got this. I can do this." So Rey is fighting Emperor. He's basically gonna start overpowering him, and then he basically zaps her again, and now she uses the X lightsaber thing. That is epic. I think that was one of the best moments.
Awesome.
It's so
it's really
goosebumps. I was like, yes, double it up. And so what happens then? She's like throwing it back at him still, and it's like barely taking a toll on him. He's like, "Girl, again, I am immortal. I'm the embodiment of the life. I'm the Sith. I have hatred and evil within me that is so strong it could withstand the lightning." And so, as she's about to do it again, he gets down on one knee a little bit, and then Kylo comes up again and impales him once more. And he yells out in pain, and Kylo's like, "Do it!" And Rey's like, "No, I can't kill him. He'll kill you." And he's like, "Do it! Just do it. It's okay. I'm sorry," basically. Like, I can take this.
A little bit of redemption.
Basically, let's redeem the kid. You know, like he's gone through a lot. I think he needs to die still, but let's redeem him a little bit. He needs to go out Skywalker style, ghost mode. So she's like, "Okay," and just zaps him and kills them both. And then basically they have their reunion at the end, and it's all happy. I don't think she goes to Tatooine. She doesn't bury the lightsabers. That's stupid. She doesn't take up the last name Skywalker. At the end, someone asks her, "Who are you?" when she walks into a canteen. She's like, "Rey," and like, "Rey who?" And she's like, "Rey Palpatine."
I actually like that a lot because I think she can rewrite the Palpatine name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's look at it this way. Palpatine did win. Palpatine won in the end. He killed all the Skywalkers. He killed all the Jedis. He won. But what he didn't account for is this reinventing the name Palpatine, not becoming an empress, but becoming a Grey Knight. Now that is why it is Rise of the Fallen Knights.
I like it. I would definitely go see that movie. But I think now we're going to actually go into our
rank them
top
films.
11s.
I mean, all 11 films ranked. You want to go yours first?
Yeah, so for me, my top 10 would be...
11.
Oh, top 11. Yes, you are right. Can't forget one out, even though I would like to. Definitely would start off with Return of the Jedi. It's my absolute favorite. Followed by Empire, but honestly, I kind of go back and forth. I really can't decide between those two. Empire, Rise of Skywalker, Force Awakens, New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace. I actually am one of those weird people who really, really like Phantom Menace. A lot of good things. Pod race scene. You get an awesome fight with Darth Maul. That has the best score of the entire trilogy. Duel of the Fates is a classic. But after Phantom Menace, probably would go Solo, Rogue One, Attack of the Clones, Last Jedi.
All right. My order, in order, is
Final Order?
The Fallen Order.
Good video game.
I never played it.
You should.
So I'm going to go with Empire Strikes Back, and then New Hope, and then Force Awakens.
Okay.
And then, where'd it go? Revenge of the Sith, and then Last Jedi.
Okay.
And then Rogue One.
Okay.
And Solo. Then Attack of the Clones. then Rise of Skywalker, Return of the Jedi,
Yep.
and Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Well, hey guys, thanks for checking out this video.
Stop.
Appreciate my
Stop.
friend. Well, wait,
Stop.
Make me stop.
I do the outro.
Why not?
This is my video. As always, guys, leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought about our review. Well, not really review. Let us know what you thought about our movies, our takes. I know this video is a little long, but you know what? So is my patience. I'm kidding. It's very short and tempered. As always, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button down there. For quick to read movie reviews, you can always check out my Letterboxd account. Link in the description below, right there. Free. It's free and free.
FREE.
And free. Special thanks to my guest, David Darley.
Nailed it right this time.
For coming on the channel here. Thanks for having me. Or having you.
Did you have me? Wow.
Once again, if you want, go check out his channel for any fitness, workout, all that jazz for feeling better about yourself. Because right now, you may need it. Because we're still in quarantine. So
yeah, we are definitely doing a good job
putting
practicing social distancing.
And as always, guys, thank you for watching. Say bye, David.
May the force be with you.
Oh, God.
Peace.
You're a nerd.
I know.